Let's take a look at how to solve exponential functions. Technically, we've been doing this. Anytime you press enter, enter, enter on the table, you're actually solving an exponential functions. But today we're also going to cover what happens if you have decimals. So let's introduce some basics from middle school. What is an exponent form? So this bottom number right here, this is the base. So 4 is the base, and then the exponent is the exponent. So you say this is 4 raised to the power of 3. So that's what exponent means. So again, let's just go ahead and make that note. 4 is the base and 3 is the exponent. All right. So you have an exponent form which has a base and an exponent. Then you have the expanded form, which means go ahead and tell me what this means. So when you have a base raised to the power of a certain exponent, all it means is you're going to take that base and multiply it by itself the number of times the exponent says. For example, the base for this exponent is 4. You're going to multiply it by itself, which means times 4. How many times are you going to do it? 3. So 4 times 4 times 4. So again, all you should see in expanded form is the base, and the number of times you should see it multiplied by itself is the exponent. All right, simplified form means go ahead and simplify that. So what is 4 times 4? 16. 16 times 4 is 64. So again, you can just type that into Desmos and see that that is what it is. So the simplified form is 64. Then finally, we want to write, okay, well, what is the equation form? So the equation form is saying, what is the exponent form equal to what is the simplified form? So 4 to the power of 3 is equal to what? 64. So that's what equation form looks like. So what we're going to do is you're going to fill out these empty boxes, okay, and see if you can fill out each one of that. So you're going to do D, E, F, G, H, and I. Now that you've done that, now you understand what is a base and what is an exponent. Now we're going to talk about what we'll be talking about, which is exponential functions. So here you have an exponential function. And what this is asking again is how many times are you going to multiply 2 by itself in order to find 32? So I'm going to multiply times by itself. How many times to get 32? So keep watching this number. Keep watching it. Boom, there's 32. How many times did I multiply it by? I multiplied it by 5. So x is equal to 5. Okay. Again, the reason being 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So an exponent of 5 base of 2 is going to give me 32. And the process is the same here. So 1/3, I'm going to multiply 1/3 how many times to get 27? So you can see 1 times 1 times 1 is not going to change. 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. So t is equal to 3. Okay, now I've talked to you about how to do that by hand, but of course we are also going to do this by calculator. So go ahead and type in the exponential form, which is going to be 2 to the power of x, like we've done in this unit. Okay, now the only difference is usually we hit table and we press enter, 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 enter until I get whatever I'm looking for, which is 32, right? Boom, right there. So 32 is 5. And that's fine if it's a whole number. However, what I want to teach you or what I focus on today is if it's not a whole number. You can actually just tell the calculator, hey, I want the exponential form to equal 32. I want this output to equal 32. And what you're going to find is it's going to go over the x-axis one time. And all you have to do is zoom in. So you zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. What is that number? 5. So as you can see here, type in the entire equation into Desmos, zoom out or zoom in so you can see the graph. If you see two different answers, which I do not in this situation, so I don't have to worry about that. I will do whatever it says. And then number 2, where it crosses the x-axis is the answer. Zoom in to see the value. Just make sure you zoom in. If it is a rounding situation, zoom in until the decimals exceed the number of numbers you need, then round as normal. So we're definitely going to do one of those. So again, it doesn't matter what kind of question they give you, how complicated it looks like. I can show you how to do it mathematically, but we are going to just learn how to type it into Desmos. So always, as I do my question, you're going to go ahead and do yours. So I'll do example 3, you do example 4. This one's a little bit more complicated. I can't just type in 4 and then to the power of 3t and look, as soon as I say minus, what happened? It came to the bottom. But we should know this by now. We put exponents in parentheses so that it stays at the very top as the exponent. So we got 3t minus 3, right? Nothing's happening here. Try adding y equals. Well, I'm going to just put it in the equation. So equals 32 raised, shift 6, put parentheses again so it can stay at the very top, t minus 4. Now, nothing's happening here because I'm using what variable? T. It says we only support implicit equations of x and y, so all you got to do is replace it with x and then come back and remember that when you're writing it down, it's not x, but it's actually t. So we're going to zoom out again so we can see it, and boom, I see it. Once I see it, so type in the entire equation to decimals where it crosses the x-axis answer, zoom in to see the value if it's rounding, zoom in until the decimals exceed. So let's see if this is a decimal. This is not a decimal, this is a whole number. So that whole number is negative 14. And again, this is t is negative 14. Right, so I'm going to do this example and apply what we've just learned into real life situations of what we've been working for. And then after that, you're going to do this one. This is not the same question, so you're not doing it at the same time, just when I finish. So let's go ahead and do this. A person invests $8,500. Where do I put that? Well, at this point, we should know that that is P. So $8,500. All right, in a bank. The bank pays them this interest. At this point, we should know that is the interest rate. Okay, and that we shouldn't put anything with percent into the calculator, that we always have to convert it and divide it by 100. So the interest rate is this number, or I can come here and type in 4.25 divided by 100, but we know that some people are making mistakes with that, so I'm just going to type this in as conversion. So that's my R. N stands for the number of time it's compounded. So it's compounded what? Daily. And let me go ahead and just highlight a few things. So my investment, the rate, it's compounded daily. And how many days are there in a year? 365. So that's N is at the bottom there and at the top here, 365. To the nearest tenth of a year. So this is a rounding issue. So when we usually do our table, so if I do this and I press table, all right, error creating table. And some of you have actually been asking me about this. Remember, Desmos only likes X and Y. So let's make this Y equals. And of course, I have a T right here. So let's change that to X and see if it will allow us to make our table now. It does. So just, it doesn't like any other letters. Just put Y equals and then change that to X. So here we would normally press enter, enter, because to the nearest tenth of a year, how long must the person leave the money in the bank? So how long means what is the X value? Because this is time, right? How long must they leave it in the bank until it reaches 12100? So 12,100. Well, if I press enter, enter as normal, look, I've passed 12,100. So it's between 8 and 9. And is this, what is this? And it says tenth of a year. So this is to the nearest years. So I can't just guess some number between 8 and 9 because I can have 8.5 years or 8.3 years or 8.2 years and so forth. So I can't just guess it. So what I have to do is use the strategy that we just learned, which is type in your equation according to our notes, right? Type in the entire equation into Desmos, and where it crosses the x-axis is the answer. So I haven't typed in my entire equation because I haven't typed it in with the 12,100. I want my Y value, the number of dollars, which is my Y value, to be 12,100. I don't know how long that's going to take, so I'm going to leave that blank. So now I've typed in my equation. So now all I need to do is look at where it crosses the x-axis. So I'm going to zoom, hit house, there it crosses the x-axis, bring this into view, and it says if it's rounding, zoom until the decimals exceed the number of numbers you need, then round as normal. So I need to know how to round. So I'm going to type in round as always. All right, and I want the number, comma, and how do I round? To the nearest tenth. TH is one number after the decimal. So I need to zoom in until I have more than one number. As a rule of thumb, let's just zoom in until I have 4 numbers. Let's just do that. All right, so I'm going to zoom in. Right now I have 1 number after the decimal, and I want 4. All right, now I have 3 on this side, 2 on that side. All right, now I have 3 and 2. I have 4 and 4. Boom. I'm just going to keep it that way. Zoom in till you have 4 just to be safe. Now, if you look at it, it's 8.309 is common to 8.309. The last 2 numbers are different, but they're not going to matter. So once I've zoomed into more than 4 numbers or 4 numbers, I can type in those exact 4 numbers that they share, not different. So 309, they both share left and right of this line. They share that. Well, that rounded is 8.3. I really don't need the rest of these. I just wanted 1 decimal place. So let's go ahead and write in the answer. So our function is going to be 12,100, which is equal to 8,500, 1 plus 0.0425. We're going to divide that by 365, and we're going to raise that to the exponent of 365 to the x power times x, and we can put that in parentheses for the calculator. And after we hit round, and I'm just going to write out what we did. So round 8.309 comma 1, because I need tenth, I'm going to get 8.3. 8.3 what? 8.3 years, because we're talking about our x value. So really all we are doing with this, and while we're putting it equal to each other, if you press enter, 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 you cannot see the decimal. So now we can put it in as an equation, which means just put the y value you're looking for after the equal sign, and you're going to get what you need. There are some questions where they give you this way, and again, you just got to recognize it's exponential. Just stick it in there, or you can write 2 to the x power, enter, 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 and find 32. Let's practice.